Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Sunday, the 12th day of May, 2024. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to everyone who is a mother, who has lived as a mother, who has offered life and love as a mother, who has expressed that wonderful, caring, nurturing nature that we as human beings need to be to one another. So happy Mother's Day to everyone on this day. It is also the seventh Sunday of Easter, as it should be. In some places, though, it is the day of the Ascension. It's not Ascension Sunday because Ascension should happen on a Thursday. But it has been moved. We'll get to that in a minute. It is also the 43rd day of the Easter season. So our final week of Easter now dawns in front of us as we celebrate this Sunday, Ascension, or the seventh Sunday of Easter. In Connecticut, visiting my own mother on this weekend, where it is exceedingly cold. It is like in the 50s, the 40s, so it's kind of not Carolina weather. It's kind of very nice to be up here, even though it is kind of cloudy and a little bit dreary today. It is still Mother's Day to be with mothers as we can. So like I said, so it should be the seventh Sunday of Easter as we move towards the conclusion of the Easter season. Instead, again, our good bishops of the United States, remember I work for one, but he was not responsible for this, decided to move Ascension from Thursday, the 40th day, now to the 43rd day on a Sunday. Why? Well, because they thought that people wouldn't go to Mass on a Thursday. Holy Thursday is a bit more important than this day, and yet people go to Mass on Holy Thursday, and we're not thinking ever about putting Holy Thursday on a Sunday because it doesn't make any sense. So here we go, my little gripe every year. Why did we move this day? Why did we move this day? Why did we move this day? There is no reason why we should have moved Ascension to Sunday, because we lose something very important of the seventh Sunday of Easter when we celebrate Ascension on this day. But be that as it may, so a little bit of a two-pronged reflection for today. First, let's look at Ascension, because we didn't get to do that on Thursday, because remember, I was with the young man who was me for a day, James, his name, my name also, and so we talked about Jesus having to leave, and again, he needs to leave, and why? Because we need to grow up. Again, we could keep hanging on to a Jesus who is here, and kind of just telling us what to do again and again and again. But God gives us brains and wisdom and understanding and the ability to feel and to care and to love and to nurture, again, on this Mother's Day. And Jesus wants us to put this into effect, wants us to act this out. And so that is why he must leave. It is God's design that Jesus leaves so that we might mature into our understanding of what it means, to be a person of faith, a person who believes in a world that sometimes is too filled with doubt, too filled with confusion, too filled with skepticism, too filled with cynicism, all those kinds of things that work against us as human beings to achieve and to grow into who it is that we've been called to be, that we must be in this world to fulfill God's promises for it. And so in the same way that we need to grow up as human beings, we need to grow up in faith. The problem is that many times we still have not grown up. We still remain in our infancy as human beings. We still seek to resolve our differences by war and by aggression and by violence. We do not want to understand. We do not want to take time to talk and think through things. We do not want time to reflect and to examine closely what's going on. We just knee-jerk react all the time. And in many ways, sometimes our faith becomes either a teddy bear or it tries to become a bubble that we wrap ourselves in against the world and outside of the world. And that is never what we are called to be. That is not what we are called to do. That's not what we are called to live as believers in this world. Again, Ascension opens up with that great reading from Acts in which men of Galilee, why are you looking up at the skies? As Jesus has gone, he will return, but you have work to do. You have to go out and teach and teach and teach and teach and help people realize the more of whom what we are as human beings, that we might live, more fully this life that God has given to us. That would make a lot of sense to be heard on Thursday, because what happens on today in Cycle B is basically the fullness of what it means and what Jesus' ideal is for us as believers in the world. Again, this is the end of Jesus' great speeches at the Last Supper in John's Gospel. They go on for they go on for five chapters from beginning in chapter 12, going all the way to chapter 17 of John's Gospel. So the bulk of this latter part of John's Gospel is these speeches that Jesus gives about who and what we are in relationship to him and to God, and what we need to be to one another. And so he basically says that, again, that his whole mission has been one to bring people together, to make unity a reality and a truth in this world. And he now gives us the responsibility of furthering that mission, of giving unity to the world, of bringing unity to the world, of bringing bringing together, again, what has fallen apart, that great Franciscan ideal, that great Franciscan motto, to bring together what has fallen apart. And so that is what we are called to do. And that Jesus basically has prepared us for this, and prepared everyone for it. And then he speaks of the son of destruction, again, which is basically Judas, who has left the table at chapter 13. The apostles probably don't know what's going on with that and don't understand truly what is going on. And so some might say that this part of the gospel could have been a post-resurrection appearance, back and forth, because it seems to be speaking about things that have already passed and come to understand, that other people have understood have passed. But for the time being, again, Jesus basically just mentions that, again, something that has been lost is always a problem, because God doesn't lose anything that God has created. So again, Judas's whole role in all of this, I've already talked about that, I think. So anyway, but to go back again to this whole idea about keeping us in the world, not so the world might have power over us, and not so the world's values and the world's what the world thinks is important, and what the world wants us, how it wants us to live, will have victory over us, but keeping us in the world, again, to do the job that we have to do, which is, again, to bring things together, to bring back, again, what has fallen apart, not to contribute anymore to the violence and the pain and the hurt of this world, not to keep separating and excluding, not to say you are in and you are out, you matter and you don't matter. Our job as believers in this world is to keep doing what it is that Jesus did in his own life, which is never to throw people out and away. Again, there will be those who always walk away, who cannot take what it is that the gospel offers us. But we are not basically ever to give up on them either. But we are to remember to keep doing our job as believers in this world, that we need to grow up, that we need to embrace our faith as adults, to know what it means to be an emotional and sensitive and socially mature person, who can understand what it means to be an ambassador of Christ's love and Christ's peace, of Christ's mercy and Christ's respect in this world. It is our greatest responsibility, it is our greatest challenge, it is our greatest commitment. But Christ believes that we can do that. And so again, he ascends to the Father. And in this last speech, as we move towards the conclusion of this Easter season, we are asked to embrace more fully who we are called to be as believers in this world. Something that is not a pipe dream, something that is not a wish, something that is not a fantasy, but which is a reality and a truth, because Christ's rising from the dead has allowed a new hope and a new future and a new destiny to dawn for all of us. A continued blessed Easter season for St. Francis and people of God. A happy and glorious Mother's Day. May the Lord give you his peace.